Hello, everyone. Happy to see everyone joining in or watching the recording because today we're going to talk about something that is quite cliche, but at the same time, topical, relevant, right? I think that this little chit chat is going to be more of a follow up, to the previous live stream I had with Alexander Izotov because I have a lot of questions that we are yet to discuss concerning this very topic. So hopefully, if you're still here, if you're like classes free, or you finish your classes, or you're watching the recording, just participate. I encourage participation. I encourage questions. I encourage different commentaries. So we're open here to discussion, and I need to make sure that you understand that whatever I'm sharing here is just my 2 cents. Okay, my own experience that I've had for the past 10-ish years, and obviously each to their own, and as they say, different strokes for different folks. So that's why it's just some sort of an opinion sharing thing we're doing here today. Okay, first of all, it's important to mention the topic again. So the topic or the theme of today's, I want to say class because I had classes today too. By the way, did you have classes, guys? Just let me know. Today's themes is English actually a school subject, and language assessment. Does that make sense? Is it accurate enough? Should there be any other ways of assessing students? So these are the themes of today's discussion. I think it would be a great idea to actually watch the video that I made in Cyprus back in the summer with Swedish, students and Swiss students who actually talked with me about education system in their country. And as you can imagine, Finland, Switzerland, Denmark are the top, kind of leading countries education-wise. We know that they're doing really great, and obviously, they're not keeping it secret, like, those techniques and everything. So I decided to pick their brains and find out what makes their classes successful, why they work, why they actually do not see English as a school subject, and why they actually speak English, unlike most of our students, unfortunately. I'm talking about state students mostly, right? Oh, I'm actually happy that we already have a few people joining in. Artyom says, I already had 2 classes today. Yeah, that makes 2 of us. I also had 2 classes, just had some lunch and decided to join in. And I would say that I definitely gleaned quite a few insights from that very conversation in Cyprus. And I thought, wow, really? I mean, they have the same environment, so to speak, in terms of, the syllabus, in terms of the amount of classes, but definitely different approaches, more language exposure, and we see the results. They're speaking. They're like 17-year-old guys having a beautiful, thought-provoking conversation with me in that video. By the way, let me know if you watched that video that I made in Cyprus with the Swiss and Danish students. Did you? And I suggest that we actually start with questions because you've sent me a lot of questions, and then I thought, let's put a twist on it. I decided to share some of those questions with you so you could also leave your opinions, on those questions. They will nudge me to choose the direction of, the conversation, and also they will have a little bit of a diversity of opinion, if you will, because again, I'm the only person speaking here right now, right? By the way, please let me know if the sound is clear this time and it's audible, okay? Because I don't want to mess this up again. Now, obviously everyone remembers their time at school, right? We all were school kids, uni kids, right? And obviously not everyone had the best experience, but let's think about that. How is school system structured? Obviously, most of the things that happen here go according to some sort of plan. Yeah, we surely did. All right, great. All is fine, no worries. Great, because I can't check my sound right now. Anna, you should watch the video for sure. It's really cool. It's very insightful. it's structured in the same way. Whatever subject we're studying, it's all about like, following the same kind of route, as they say in British English, right? You're supposed to show up to class, you're supposed to memorize stuff, you're supposed to retell, or recite stuff. You're supposed to do the test, and all the time you have to be on alert, right? Of course, it works for most of the subjects, but think about that. Do you consider the language you're teaching, because I know that most of you watching are colleagues, do you consider it a subject, as in like школьный предмет? Let me know. If you consider it a subject, just leave a thumbs up or a plus, okay? If you don't, say I do not consider it a subject. It's really important to know. And at that time, when I already was a school student, I kind of thought like, why not make it less rigid? Why not make it less kind of strict, and just create this beautiful atmosphere where everyone could learn and never care about grades? Because this is also one of the things that stands in the way, of learning, always being on alert, afraid of making mistakes. And we all know that the Soviet personality, has this sort of a problem with always making sure they speak the right English or Russian, whatever, that they sound good enough. Obviously, this is something that should be like stamped out, if you will, right? Because it's an hangover, really, it is. By the way, any ideas what the word hangover means in this case, in this example, okay? If you say that, for example, memorizing whole text by heart is a hangover, we need to move on. What do you think it means then? Let me know, okay? So I consider it a hangover, and obviously it should be worked on. Also, I'm wondering whether you actually had experience teaching at a state school. Private schools for sure, all of us kind of tried our hand at it or considered this, and it's a different environment, right? I mean, those watching can definitely tell me that, really. I mean, when you work in a private school or a private school owner, it's a totally different animal. Yeah, Anna says no grades would be great, right? Because, when we have grades in this kind of, in the system, they influence how even students perceive the language. And of course, then they consider it a subject, right? Yeah, rudimental thing, correct. So any ideas what hangover means in this case, okay? It has nothing to do with alcohol, okay? Waste of time, because it's something that should be left in the past, пережиток прошлого, okay, Оксана? So you are on the right track, right? So a hangover would be пережиток прошлого, okay? So it's also a good meaning to remember. And I started working at school when I was in year 5 at uni. And I was so inspired, by this kind of fact that I would be a school teacher, that I could change those thick little minds, that I could inspire. And then I thought, of course, if I speak that good, and if I'm that young, and if I have all of those ideas, I could change the world. Well, the result, the outcome. Obviously, I was not enough. So I went to work at school. And I thought, all right, so what do I change first? And of course, I, stumbled a lot of snags, as they say, a lot of obstacles, if you will. For example, I wanted to make sure that students speak in groups and pairs, so I decided to rearrange the desks. And obviously, the results. I was literally summoned to the principal's office, and I was like told off. It's like, it goes against it. Like, why would you have to do that? You see, so it's one of the problems too, because, for example, I used to teach large classes. Can you imagine a class full of like students, 25, 28? For some reason, we didn't have groups at that time. It was back in 2015, and I had to make sure that they speak. Right? Because first of all, I do follow the English-only approach. I do use a little bit of translation in class, if need be. But mostly, I want to make sure that I create the learning environment and a lot of exposure, right? Because, school students, they don't have much time to have that, right? But, as you can well imagine, I was not allowed to rearrange the desks. By the way, did you ever have this kind of, situation going on? Did you ever try to rearrange the desks in the classroom, especially if you were working in this state school, okay? And I realized that teaching large classes is definitely a hassle, if you will. And it was really difficult in this respect for sure. But what I also learned is that students don't actually understand why they're learning the language. And of course, they consider it a subject because we have system grades in place, we have the rigid kind of environments, yeah, we have tests. The teacher wants to make sure that they keep up with the syllabus and the curriculum, right? Of course it is difficult, right? Because we have so much on our shoulders and it influences the environment, hence the student's reaction to that, right? However, when I learned, when I kind of sat down with those guys from Switzerland and Denmark, and they told me that, we actually also have like the grading system and everything, but what we do is we collaborate in class, we communicate. A teacher throws a topic or a theme into the crowd, figuratively speaking, and they just start, discussing it. They start brainstorming ideas. They start looking for answers. They engage in a conversation, So it's not just about like sitting tight and listening to a teacher, waiting for your time to answer if you ever have this opportunity, you see? So it's definitely something to think about, right? So all of those things that create the school environment, they sometimes stand in the way of perceiving language as not a subject, right? Please let me know if you agree, okay? Just leave a plus if you agree with me. Oh, wow, we have more than 20 people joining in, by the way. Hey, Alex, it looks like Alex also joined. Great. So, obviously, I hit a lot of snags as you can well imagine. Yeah, great. I'm getting the pluses, I'm getting the absolutely's, I'm getting the waves. Yeah, hello everyone. You see, so actually, most of my plans just fell down like a lead balloon, as they say in English. I mean, think about that. You come full of ideas, yeah, you want to change stuff. You definitely pursue only the one aim, yeah, that like get them inspired, lead by example, teach them good English, but unfortunately sometimes the school system would beg to differ. They learn English watching cartoons and movies besides classes, right? That's what they mentioned. I mean, for sure, that's one of the things that probably stands in the way of perceiving language as not a subject, but as a tool, yeah, as a tool to discover the world, if you will, yeah, to explore the world, for sure. Also, it's quite interesting, guys. Any ideas why Russia is all about dubbing, dubbing movies? Why do you think we will ever actually introduce, this kind of original sound to our movie theaters? Because I think it would be a good idea to inspire at least the young generation to watch stuff in English. Maybe this is how it helps to nudge both teachers and students to expose themselves to English more. What do you think of that? Then we have a comment here. They're obligated to learn English to entertain themselves. What do you mean? Can you expand on that? Okay, because I didn't quite get that. All right, so we are definitely going to learn a little bit more about my school experience and then uni experience during the conversation. But I suggest that we look at the questions that you asked and opinions you shared on some of those questions and comment along the way. So please, those watching both live and the recording, leave your own commentaries. I'll be happy to really see some of them, all right? That's how I understand that I'm not talking to the wall or to myself. Now, let's get to it. So one of the first questions that I got was quite a loaded one, as Maria once mentioned, right? Hello, Maria. The question is as follows. Listen, learning English at school is useless. You can learn it anytime on your own. Do you agree? What do you make of it? Quite loaded, right? It got me thinking because it really depends, right? It just depends on the school. It does depend on the teacher. It depends on the administration. But then, I decided to pose this question. I got some opinions. So let's look at some opinions, comment along the way, and reflect on it together, okay? And again, while I'm reading, while I'm commenting, think about that. Do you really think that learning English at school is kind of useless? Just a waste of time, all right? So one of the opinions was, in a way, It's never late to learn any language, but you can do it at school if the teacher inspires you. But then it brings up a lot of different questions. How does a teacher get inspired under such a huge workload, right? And a lot of things that just kind of discourage you from learning, yeah, from being a better teacher, I don't know, an inspirer. Yeah, you also have to, like, retrieve energy, yeah, from somewhere, right? So that just depends. You can be the inspiring one, but you still have to have the environment. You have to have the leeway, yeah, the freedom, the leeway to act accordingly, yeah? You see? So, would you agree that in a way it is useless? All right, so put a plus, yeah, leave a plus if you think that it could be useless if there are so many snags, okay? Oh, more people are joining, great. Then I got another opinion, and I actually liked it because I know this person by reputation, and I hope to stream with him one day. One of the folks says, it depends on the school. I doubt that Andrei Valentinovich Mishin students complain about their teacher. See, we all know Mishin, yeah? We all know that he is the inspiring one, yeah? And he's the one who actually tries to break out of this mold. So yeah, as far as I remember, in his school, first of all, there is a huge amount of English teachers. So they have a community of teachers, and they have someone to, to pick their brains from, yeah, so to speak. And also, obviously, if you are the administration, because Andrei Valentinovich is part of the administration, of course, you can, like, tweak it a little bit, you see? Now, Yana says, could be useless in a situation when neither a teacher nor a student are motivated. Right. But again, what is motivation? I mean, motivation can be both intrinsic and extrinsic, yeah? Внутренняя, intrinsic, and extrinsic, внешняя. For example, what makes me strive for more? My intrinsic motivation. I understand that whatever I'm doing language-wise benefits me and my students. It makes me a better learner. I explore the world. This is how I fill my void, because everyone has some sort of void to fill, right? So in this case, we can't change that, right? You either have it or you don't. So let's imagine you're a Nordic kiddo and you watch Fox Kids or whatever. Kiddo likes bright characters and fighting and so on, so he wants to understand the plot, so there is no other choice. Yeah, exactly. So if we want to introduce, this environment where at least cartoons or some movies are not dubbed, but encouraged and imposed, in a way, probably something will change, probably the mold will start to slowly break, as they say, right? Now, what do you think, by the way? Again, if the administration allows it, in the face of Mishin in this case, do you think it can be really different? Let me know. Leave a plus. Now, okay. So, also another opinion, depends on the teacher. It's easier for your brain to learn a language when you're a child. Yeah, it depends, but we're talking about the process. Think about that. How much time does it take for us to learn a language? Like a lifetime, for sure, but we start at a kindergarten first, right? So it's like, what, maybe 2 years, 2 last years. Then we have 11 or 9 years at school. Then 3 years of college or uni. Yes, these days, as far as I know, at university, they do not learn a foreign language. I mean, non-linguistic students for 5 years, but still, first 2 years. And still no dice, no luck. Obviously, it's a shared responsibility. It's not just about the teacher or the administration, right? So, I wonder what you make of it, guys. So please leave comments. Now, learning on your own when you have a clear goal will be more fruitful and efficient. Of course. You know what? When I reflect on my years at school, I was fortunate enough to have the inspiring teacher. I come from a provincial town, and I actually had no language exposure. We even didn't have like cinema for some time. Can you believe that? I actually did not come from Belgrade, I come from a smaller town, But in our English class, what I loved about my teacher, and if you're watching, Galina Anatolyevna, hello and thank you. What I liked about her is that she always inspired and showed how things can be done. The pep talk matters a lot. And I think it somehow nudged me to learn because I was like thinking, how do I excel? How do I find my purpose? I looked around and realized that nobody wants to do the hard work. What if I try? What if I break this mold? For some reason, it just worked with me. I started learning the language, I started getting inspired. She would nudge me to participate in some sort of contests, and everything. And then, because I believed and I worked, things started to work for me. So when it came to study, when I was accepted into the university, I already spoke really good English and I already started teaching. So when you inspire, that definitely works, but it's not enough. You have to also put in the hard work. But how do you put in the hard work? You have to have your intrinsic motivation. How do you get that is the question. You see? I still don't understand what drove me to, aspire language-wise that much, that's for sure. That's for sure. I just noticed one fact, that when we come into the classroom, what we usually do is, we talk about some housekeeping questions, организационные вопросы, housekeeping questions, that's a good one. We, do a few technicalities, технические вопросы, and we start the learning, right? We don't explain how English can benefit us. Maybe some cliche phrases. Well, you get to travel a lot, you get to read books, watch movies, but again, if you live in Russia, why would you need that, right? Everything is dubbed. But if we show our students that whatever surrounds us is something that they might already know, that might nudge them. For example, in my classes at school, when I was teaching, I would start my very first lessons with trying to raise their awareness of the fact that some of the things that they eat or they're surrounded by are the English words that they already know. I would literally start talking about sweets, for example, especially with like primary school kids and secondary school kids. I would say, think about that. You eat Snickers because Snicker means хихикать, смеяться, and it makes you like feel better, right? And we would like really brainstorm like ideas what it might be, You eat Bounty because it is bountiful coconut-wise, щедрость. You eat Twix because a Twix, is some sort of a palichka. I would explain things around them. I would tell them that, look, guys, English matters in your lives because it surrounds you. It's already part of your life, and sometimes you already know that you know your English a little bit, right? I would show them that they can be smarter, knowing the language. And then if they just pursue their goals, they can definitely find their purpose, because I'm sure that it's very hard these days to understand what you really want. Now, old-fashioned textbooks, it could be demotivating for sure. Oh, tell me about old-fashioned textbooks. Some people won't ever stop teaching with their rocking books. So now, in 2011, a Russian comics publisher lost their license, so didn't have another choice to continue following the adventures of the Spider-Man series, only reading online, in English definitely. You see, and as far as I know, Artyom, at that time you were like literally a school student, right? Because it was like 10 years ago, right? You see? So for sure. Then Lena says, you have to be gritty. By the way, that's an amazing adjective. Who knows what it means? Okay? You have to be gritty. Having grit is essential when it comes to languages. Could not agree more. Okay? While you're thinking what gritty means or typing, I will just kind of confirm it with you. Gritty means persevering and persistent. Okay? So it means like you have the perseverance. You want to make sure that whatever you do comes to fruition, if you will. Okay? That's what gritty means. You have grit. Okay? Now, really happy to see the other colleagues joining us. Please participate. Now, the other opinion is, If a teacher isn't qualified enough, it's better to make your own way to not learn mistakes. You probably mean that it's better to make sure that you're qualified enough. It's another problem, right? I mean, it all depends on the person as well. But at the same time, when you learn, you teach twice. I mean, we all start out somewhere, right? We don't come knowing everything. And obviously not knowing everything is not a thing, okay? Now, one more opinion. The older you become, the harder it gets. Adult life can become a huge obstacle to do anything, let alone language learning. Yeah, so Anna, you're trying to say that probably you should make the most of your studies at school first, yeah? Because then things get kind of harder, yeah? And you have less time, right? For sure. All right, so that was one of the very first questions I got, okay? Also, if you're watching the recording or watching live, let me know what you make of it. Is language learning at school useless, and in what way? Yeah, Anna says true. All right, good. Now that brings us to the next question. Vlad says, Vlad, by the way, you might know Vlad, one of the people I will go live with very soon, Vlad. You see, I confirmed it here. Because Vlad is the epitome of a successful, I would say competent, it's safe to say that, teacher. He's been teaching for 5 years, as far as I remember, in a state school, in a provincial state school. He won, teachers' contests. He's been definitely having a lot of grit to make sure that things are done well in the classroom. So one day we will definitely talk about what it's like to be a school teacher, a good one. Now, that brings us to the next question. The next question is obvious, guys. Listen, some of you asked, what is the major problem with our educational system concerning teaching English? Think about that. What is the major problem with our educational system concerning teaching English? Yeah, 6.5, Vlad, sorry. No. While I'm looking at the answers, think about that. Like, give me 3 things that you think are wrong, okay? And that stand in the way of successful teaching, okay? I know that there's a delay. And also those watching on demand, again, I keep saying that like a broken record, but please participate, please leave commentaries and comments. It means a lot, okay? So, teachers are swamped with a lot of red tape, yeah. Agreed. For some obscure reason, the red tape is our jam these days, Like, yeah, more red tape, yeah? Just go red tape, right? Teachers are often underpaid and overworked. Exactly. This is a huge problem, but again, not in many countries. For example, as far as I know, in Ireland, first of all, a lot of teachers are males, and then they get paid a lot, really, and they value their jobs and they'll enjoy their jobs for sure. But you know what? I'm kind of talking from experience here. And I gotta say that it's not always about the paycheck. I knew people who would get a lot of money, working in a school, in a provincial one, and still not trying to lift a finger, but still thinking that they're doing the right job, that students are to blame, of course. It's easy to just, pass the buck, if you will. Kids think you're kind of a servant. Exactly. By the way, where do you think it comes from? This notion, Like, why do students and parents consider us servants? Slugi, yeah? Think about that. Now, I'm gonna read answers, the ones that you left, guys. We feed a full course meal those who might not be hungry or want different kinds of food. That's the problem. What a great association, Vlad. It's like we work in this one size fits all, environment. Yeah, like this cookie cutter. Yeah, like one mold, and we want to make sure that everyone learns, that everyone understands, but what we don't work on is the intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. Yeah, so the problem stems from the Ministry for Education. And of course, yeah. So that could be also one of the things. Now, agree totally with Vlad, for sure, because Vlad is the one that practices what he preaches, and he works in a school and tries to make classes tailor-made, you know? I mean, he's awesome. I would definitely want him to be my colleague when I worked at my school, you know? We would make a great team, you know? Now, as far as the answers are concerned, while you're typing your own, because there are more than 20 people here, one of the problems with our education system concerning teaching English is that some people say course books and exams. What do you think is wrong about course books? Okay, let me know. We're talking about probably the Russian course books, right? Well, that's not me who came up with образовательные услуги. Yeah, yeah, for sure. Also, a university teacher said it does not aim at educating. That's the problem. Yeah, it does not aim at educating. I thought about that, really, because for some obscure reason, things changed. You know, I'm 28, and of course, I was not born in the Soviet Union, yeah? Rather like, you know, after the fall, yeah, or breakup of the Soviet Union. But I know stories, and I know teachers who told me those stories, that things were different, you know? Outdated vocabulary, stupid logic of tasks and topics. Well, again, it raises a lot of questions methodology-wise, Artyom. Vlad says, even the newest textbooks are outdated at the time they're published. Yeah, you know what? I actually encourage you to tune in the upcoming Monday. I'm going to have a very fruitful, insightful, thought-provoking conversation with Anastasia. She's an English teacher. She's a really good one. She likes creativity in the classroom. She worked both and works as a private teacher and as a private school teacher. And she also has something to say about that. We're going to talk about textbooks for sure. For sure. The other answer is it's all about the red tape, and teachers rely a lot on students' books. Again, see? That could be the problem. Then also large classes, terrible textbooks. You see the predominance of grammar translation approach. Yeah, but again, you see, we usually we do what, like, we reflect what we learn, right? For example, imagine a fresher, yeah, like a first-year student. He comes to university. He knows nothing about how things are supposed to work. If he has his own mind, self-awareness, yeah, of course, then he will just rack his brains, analyze stuff. He would be critical of the information he gets, and then he would layer his own personality on the teaching methods, you know, stuff that he learns, yeah, and the language he gets and learns from the teachers. And then he would change this kind of approach probably, yeah. But there are many of those who just believe that whatever a teacher says is the gospel truth. You see? But it's not like that anymore. Things are so different now. And it will be a little bit dumb not to keep up with the times. You know? Because we live in 2022. It even sounds futuristic already, you know? So, Nadezhda says, there were times when we could choose textbooks. That was great. I used to work with British textbooks at state school. So why did it change? I just wonder, how come does that happen that someone who is not teaching the kids in the classroom decides what textbooks we're supposed to use? We are the competent ones. We are the professionals who come into the classrooms, and based on our experience, we know what to choose, what effective tools to choose and textbooks, right? Why do they have to do that? I never understood that, you know? So, you know, when I worked at school, I told you many times that since I was, you know, self-taught for the most part, yeah, before I was accepted into university, I have my own mind map of how and what language learning process looks like. I know exactly how to teach, you know, as our British colleague Ian says, snulla, you know? even though I'm not teaching с нуля anymore, from scratch, right? And when I come into a classroom and where I have this kind of those restrictions and this mold, for me, I feel very uncomfortable, and that puts pressure. Because what am I doing here then? Am I like the director, like literally? Am I supposed to just what? Facilitate? I would disagree. I'm here with my own personality. I kind of know the drill. I have my own expertise. I want to share it. So when I came to work at school, I actually, tried to make sure that I incorporate and inject a lot of the teaching tools that I know that work. So I would not just follow the curriculum for the sake of the curriculum, okay? Learning language is about communication and expressing yourself as you do in your own mother tongue. But at school, they teach it as a subject. Exactly, that's the topic of today's, live stream. Because a lot of things create the environment that looks subjecty, if you will. You see, that's the problem. Being a student is hard to realize that some teachers get upon students and get things slide. Yeah, it's quite debatable. It just depends, because Artem, remember when I was your university teacher, we had the leeway, yeah? Obviously, I was the one who called the shots, right? And I tried to create an environment where everyone had something to say. Now, I'm really happy that you're sending me your comments. Please move on because it really helps to keep the conversation going. And again, if you disagree, it's fine. Just write me right now. Like, I would disagree, Stan. I know for sure that this thing works or that does not work, okay? Because we always factor in all the opinions here. We're not like talking about such intricate topics as something that is the gospel truth, Now, also, we have some more opinions here. What could be the major problem with the education system? Unwillingness to admit authentic material and books written by native speakers are crucial. By the way, it's Anna who asks, Anna, you're also a university teacher. What do you mean? Like, who is unwilling to admit that? Okay? Just let us know. But yeah, sometimes, but again, you see, it's a double-edged sword, if you will, because I'm sure that there are a lot of non-native teachers that would write amazing books, and they usually collaborate, with native speakers, and they make sure that everything looks great, yeah, that it's like up to standards, up to like, yeah, the ministry, okay, up to snatch, right, and everything. So I think that it just depends, I mean, people who want to learn, if you are interested in your own self-development, if you want to learn something from your own classes, then you literally just pick yourself up by the bootstraps and you start working hard, because, for example, in my classes, whatever class I taught, A0 or C2, because now I'm teaching B2+, C1, C2 classes, I'm always trying to make sure that everyone is open to discussion. Everyone is open to express their own opinion. Everyone can share, that I can learn from my own class. So I challenge myself with activities, questions. I like spontaneity. I never have this lesson plan going on, I just like it the way it goes. I throw a question into the group or, ask a student, and then we start debating or, dwelling upon it. Then Nadezhda says, there was kind of a mess. Imagine when a student had to change schools, they faced different textbooks. I suppose it happened because we came to standardized tests. It makes sense. Nadezhda, are you a school teacher? Are you a state school teacher? Please let us know, because it looks like you're talking from experience. Anna says, we're not allowed to use anything not approved by the... But again, wait, you are the one who calls the shots, okay? You know better. You're not doing anything illegal. You want to make sure that the class is taught well, right? You want to make sure that your students take something away from the class. And as far as I remember, a lot of those Gaussian documents do not say that you should use only this or that book. They say that certain criteria are supposed to be met. Certain aims are supposed to be achieved. How do you achieve it is the question, you see? So you might want to just kind of consider that. I'm sure that it's not illegal to use some other materials that would, again, help meet the requirements, the aim, the theme. So I think that this is nothing bad about that. Well, at least when I worked at school for 3 years in uni, nobody told me, Stan, do not use a video, use the textbook only, or Stan, do not say that phrase, it's not in the curriculum, okay? No one cares, first. Second, we still want to achieve the result, and that's what I try to do, okay? Back to differ. Now, Nadezhda says, I used to work at school for 32 years. Wow, that is like kudos. I mean, would you say that things changed drastically, Nadezhda? Okay, let us know. By the way, those watching, I see pretty many people watching at this time of day. Please write who you are. A school teacher, a private school teacher, a uni teacher, a private teacher. Please let me know in the comment section right now, okay? I just want to make sure, I want to see the statistics, okay? Anna says, I totally agree. Officially, we just can't take an authentic textbook as the main source. Well, this is BS, really. I would still take it, and that's what I did, okay? Because I wanted to make sure my students learn. I am the expert in the classroom. I am the one who leads by example, and I was not doing anything illegal, yeah? Same topics, different materials. Why not? Now, all right, the curriculum is everything. Yeah, but it didn't stand in my way. All right, so again, as I asked you, please let me know whether you're school teachers, private school teachers, state school teachers, uni teachers or students. I'm a state school teacher, great. A private tutor, a private school teacher, a private teacher. Hello, Evgeny. I just admire your, I just applaud the gusto of your enthusiasm, learning-wise, because I think you're amazing. I like the way you speak English also. We had a few conversations in DM. I'm a private teacher. I used to teach in a private school, right? By the way, the only place I've never taught in is a private school. For some reason, I tried. I had this interview going on, for an hour and a half in Belgrade. It was in English, and then they told me, "All right, so you look fine, yeah, okay, sure. Just have this kind of demo lesson, and then I think I will pay you 3,000 per one group per month." And I'm like, "Wait, but how many groups am I getting?" She said 4, and I thought, "Are you for real?" I mean, it doesn't even help to pay the rent, like what the hell? So I just bailed. Now, I guess foreign languages should be a subject of personal choice. Then groups will be smaller, people get more motivated, so the teachers will be more engaged and passionate. That is a very good commentary. Yeah, cherry savvy. You're really savvy, by the way. Optional, yeah, personal choice makes sense, really. But unfortunately, a lot of things are mandatory, as you can well imagine, Yeah, classic stuff in Belgrade, yeah, like getting 3K per one group. Wow, so much. I mean, now I'm getting 3K for like what, an hour and a half class, but I would get like 4 a month. Like, come on, are you kidding me? Have I just like spent my time like more than 13 years for nothing? Like, sorry, but I value myself. That's what I had in mind. Everyone wants to rip you off. Yeah, sure. But we're not stupid. We're not stupid, guys. So I'm really happy to be getting so many comments. Great. Now, let's carry on because we have a lot of things to discuss. As Vlad says, hunger is important for me now. I can afford only motivated students at the moment, mainly adults, because they know what they need. I'm a pensioner at the moment. Awesome. I told you in the previous live streams that I believe it's important to work with the motivated ones. It doesn't mean that the demotivated or unmotivated ones are not the ones to work with, right? It just means that probably you did not sync. Yeah, you didn't forge this bond. So let them just go with God and find the teacher that they would sync with. Okay? Connect, right? So, but hunger matters. As they say in slang English, you should be English horny, right? You should want English, like literally, okay? So, now, I think that's pretty much it, this question, yeah, in terms of this question. Oh, also one more. The lack of professionals, it's impossible to keep... Wow, listen, The lack of professionals is the problem. It's impossible to keep sanity being a state teacher. What do you make of it, guys? Like, it's impossible to stay sane when you're a state school teacher. Is that a thing, Vlad? Now, I think Vlad is still sane. It means that it's possible, okay? Now, working with not motivating students is the cause of burning out. It sure is as well. Yeah, because, you start questioning your expertise. You start thinking whether you're doing the right job, the right thing. You're like, am I actually cut out for teaching? Am I supposed to be teaching? Why is she or he so good, but I'm not, right? It definitely nudges you to quit. Yeah, by the way, which is the next question, I think. Give me a moment. So the next question, I had it somewhere. Like, why do so many teachers quit? By the way, how would you respond? Any ideas? Like, I had this question going on, but somehow it disappeared now. Like, the question was, why do you think so many teachers quit? Any ideas? Quit, I mean, working at a state school or uni, okay? For sure. We did say that it's about being underpaid. Yeah, we did say that it's about, like, not seeing the sense of it because of a lot of red tape, for sure. But still, would a paycheck still keep us there is the question. Yeah, you think, what the hell is wrong with shell? I put more shittles and giggles instead of useful things. Okay. How to encourage and so on. Okay. So, but this question is kind of self-explanatory, I just want us to make sure that we glean some insights. Yeah, now you're pouring oil upon troubled waters. Yeah, they're all burnt out, yeah. But again, the burnout also is the result of a heavy workload, you see? So if we were to choose a light one, then probably things were better, they were better looking, for sure. Now, let's move on to the next question. We're still talking about language as a subject and why sometimes it turns out to be messed up. Let's put it that way. So, then let's look at the next question here. I think the school system kills creativity. Oh, yeah. By the way, this is the nasty I'm talking about. Yeah, we're going to talk about creativity the upcoming Monday. Yeah, like why textbooks won't suffice. They might. Yeah, they might. I actually tried all the time, all those 3 years, both at school and then uni, to be the creative one. It did not stand in the way, but a lot of things discouraged, for sure. The situation with language learning has changed drastically because of resources galore. Compared in time, when I was a school student, we had nothing but textbooks. And it still works, right? Because it's all about the way, like how you approach it, your intrinsic motivation. Being constantly underpaid demotivates even the most enthusiastic ones. Yeah, like look at me, here where I got myself, yeah? So, the next question is, what were the most spectacular or the worst moments of your teaching in school experience? It's a question for everyone, okay? What were the most spectacular, the worst moments of your teaching in school or uni experience? For me, it's a simple question, hands down. The most spectacular thing that happened to me is the fact that I think, again, given by what I see, I have inspired quite a few students and school students. How do I know? First of all, because as I told you, when I started working at a state school in 2015, how many years passed? 6, more than 6. I still have some students who are in touch with me. They message me, we talk, they tell me that they're doing well, and some of them actually are students of the Belgrade State University, like the ones I taught when I just was starting out, when I was a first-time teacher. And then at uni, I think this is where I got to inspire the most, so to say, because I was working for a like linguistic department, that was in Yas. I was working there, and I was working with future teachers, interpreters, linguists, and then I knew that maybe I could not give a lot of language, yeah, because we had like 1 or 2 periods per week. I could at least lead by example and say that, guys, language is good, but it should be a default thing to have. You're supposed to make sure that methodology is in place too. You're supposed to inspire. You're supposed to be someone who shows by example, yeah, someone who doesn't comes to a classroom carrying knowledge, dropping knowledge, you know. Yeah, Artyom says inspired, and I'm really grateful. You see, so that definitely was like the highlight. And I actually worked there just because of that, because the money I got, wow, I'm so embarrassed to even share this with you. I will not even say the paycheck I got from working as a uni teacher. At school, that was all right at that time. But again, because of the heavy workload, but a lot of things were discouraging. But then I said to myself, come on, especially with the pandemic looming over, like, why would I sacrifice so much? The ones who want to learn, they will learn. And by the way, what do you make of this? For example, judging by my experience, again, I was the inspired ones. I was inspired, as I told you before, but that's the only thing I needed. I started working hard, and again, I turned out great, right? Do you really think that if there's no inspiring teacher in the classroom, that means that there's no way a student will succeed? What do you make of this? Okay? Because what I make of this is that, those students who are motivated will still learn. Okay? They will find a way. And when you come, of course, you can spark, more of an interest, yeah, and you can probably nudge them to do better. But they can still do away without you. Okay? Let's put it that way. So, the worst things, you know what? I was fortunate enough not to face any worst things. I kind of came there on my own. That was a conscious choice, but also a conscious choice to leave. So I left like in the middle of the school year, both when I was a school teacher and a uni teacher. Then I used to work hours arranging after school activities. We had a lot of festivals, performances. I'm sure that all those were useless. Some of my students keep up corresponding and they're right in English. Yeah, exactly. For some reason, we like this kind of idea of making sure that the red tape is fine, yeah, but not the learning process. Hard work pays off. You have to swing for the fences anyway. Great idiom. Yeah, like you have to try harder, yeah, so you get more results. When my students successfully passed the CE exam, that was the spectacular moment. Exactly, right. You see? Then you reap the benefits, right? Guys, think about more stories of success, or maybe like not success as it was said in the question. Like, what do you think motivates you to move on? Okay, to move on with your teaching. Now I am the happiest man because I get to teach the best of the best, First of all, I'm teaching colleagues only. They're usually C1, C2, We get to discuss a variety of topics. They understand me perfectly well. I'm not talking about language, of course, because their language is great already, as it is. I don't have to nudge them to speak because they know that it's their speaking time. I don't have to encourage them and say, try harder, They come, they know the drill, they know why they come, they want to get the knowledge, they want to get the techniques, they want to make sure they're doing things right, and I'm enjoying my life to the fullest right now, professional life-wise. That's like hands down. I'm very much fortunate, but again, I had to take a lot of steps to get where I am right now. I also inspired some of my students to become French English language teachers. That is the best thing. You know what? A lot of people ask me, like, why are you sharing so much freebies here, Stan? Like, are you like out to lunch or what? Like, why? People actually like make make a killing out of it. Like, why would you do that? My answer is obvious, actually. I mean, to me, I'm doing this because I like the idea of planting ideas, knowledge, phrases into your heads. You see, I like the fact that there's going to be a little bit of Stan in each of your minds, is all. I think this is the main purpose of my teaching. And I think this is the satisfaction I get, if you will. I don't know, maybe it sounds lame, tell me if I'm wrong, but that's me. Now, I have a little bit of a conversation going on here. Please, guys, send me more ideas, comments, because participation is king. It's important, okay? I'm actually happy that most of you are sharing stuff. Now, Anastasia says, one of my teenage students had a crush on me and kept chasing me after the lessons. It was my practical period. I didn't know what to do. I was 21 at the time. None of the teachers helped me. Oh, you know what? It just brings back memories. I had an amazing teaching methods teacher. I was so freaking, passionate too, but fortunate, And we synced, my teacher and I, Людмила Nikolaevna Borisova, she is a class act, and when she taught us English methodology, she would inspire us to be this class act, and when we're getting our teaching experience, this sort of apprenticeship, I was sent to a grammar school, to this specialist school, то есть углубленка. And I was teaching, like one class. We had 5 classes per week. And I had one of the, female students, like, looking at me like that, like, gawking all the time in the lesson. And I was like, what's going on? Isn't she getting it or what? Like, and then, she started, like, sending me, pictures, writing me things. She found me on VK. It was quite awkward, for sure. But at the same time, at that very moment, I inspired her to learn, I guess, because she was really doing good, And you never know what to do, when it comes to, students, like, I don't know, seeing you in a different perspective. They're supposed to see you as a teacher, right? But at the same time, Anastasia, you got the looks, you see? That's why a student had a crush on you. So then they just giggled. Horrible. Stalking is intimidating. Yeah, for sure. You mean Anastasia's story, right? By the way, I was not stalked, but for some reason I was getting a lot of pictures, So, drawn pictures of things. Now, oops, I pinned the comment. Now, I guess that this is something that put me off greatly. Because again, by the way, for example, when I am teaching a class, whether it's a class of students at school or uni, when I used to teach, I always made sure that it's all about professionalism. We kept things professional. You see them as students, and that's the only purpose of the lesson. All right? And then you're also older. So what are we talking about here, right? Now, I'm not a teacher, but I help my niece with English, so we watched together a Superstore series and laugh our heads off. That was my evil plan. Awesome. Great. Oh gosh, Artyom, I only had sexual hints, but I cut it off. This is where it gets nasty. Never mix that. Never mix the learning process with that, for sure. You don't want to mess with your students. Your students are definitely the ones you have to keep things professional with, okay? For sure. So this is trading on thin ice, okay? The project with kind of grammar school works very well. When students have 5 lessons per week, the results are much better. By the way, speaking of really good teachers, the environment and everything, first of all, in that grammar school or specialist school, the teacher that, was like like advised me, on things, she was really good, I think it's, I'm blanking on the middle name, but it was, if you're watching, Olga Igorevna Chemyakina, I guess, at that time. And I was so inspired because she would like talk to me all the time, tell me if I'm doing the right thing or not. She was also picking my brains and saying, "Oh, I like this activity. Can I please borrow it?" I'm like, "Yeah, sure. Of course." I was so inspired. So I was definitely fortunate with that, Like I was like, "Wow, cool." Thank God that in terms of teaching methods, I am lucky, okay? And everything. And they did have a different arrangement of desks because they worked as a group, It was totally different. And she made sure that her students at that time, they were like in year 6, worked really hard and they all spoke good English. So I could literally teach them things that I would probably teach year 3 students, okay? I remember that when I came, they really knew their way around all the tenses. They could really speak decent English, They knew their vocabulary, all right? But it was a Russian textbook, but she made sure that they spoke. She would always nudge them to speak English, And she had a great way of working with texts. And now, as far as I know, she changed schools. And again, if you're watching one day, just kudos to you. I mean, you are great, okay? Now, Stan, yeah, I know. I remember, Tom, you told me about that case, yeah, with the hints, yeah. But again, thank God you stamped it out. Lena says, Stan, what do you do to keep progressing? Do you have classes with a native speaker? That's a great question, because I believe that there is nothing wrong about a teacher, English teacher, having a teacher who teaches them English. It's like they say, every psychiatrist has their own psychiatrist, right? For some reason, some people feel embarrassed about telling publicly or to anyone about that, as in am I incompetent or what? Like, why would you do that? Yeah. But I think it's great. I do not have officially a native English speaker who teaches me English, but first of all, I always have the exposure. I talk to my native speaker friends, whether on WhatsApp or Zoom, or we just chat. Also, from time now it's not the case, but I used to go like every Tuesday and sometimes other days to classes with a native speaker, Ian, the one that we might also have streaming here one day. He teaches uni students, the ones that I taught, and I would literally sit down and just be the student with them and talk, and discuss stuff. So yeah, that's what I loved doing, and I hope to resume that. But I get to have a lot of exposure, and I think everyone who I talk to is my teacher. You're also my teachers, because I'm learning a lot from you. Trust me on this one. Especially the questions that were asked for the upcoming stream with Anastasia. Anastasia can confirm that we learned a lot of things like, wow, what do you think she means by that? Oh, great. Oh, this verb that she used, like supersede. Oh, good to know. So I think everything I have around me is a teacher as well. But anyways, I think it's a great idea for a teacher to have a teacher who teaches you. That's how you know that you are doing a good job. That's how you make sure that you're learning, you get inspired, and most importantly, you watch methodology in action. And that's why also teachers come to me to study with me. Because not only do they make sure that they speak good English or they try to idiomatize their English, but they also learn methodology. Because I'm a great fan of methodology, especially the lexical approach, the dogme approach, the textbook-free approach generally. Yeah, having pizza with Ian. Yeah, Artem knows what I'm talking about because Artem is one of the clique, yeah? Now, again, please continue commenting, asking questions along the way because we have a lot to discuss. If you want to be a good teacher, you shouldn't forget how it feels to be in the student's shoes, for sure. That's why I like coming to university and just, sit down, just kind of let it all go, listen, answer, and then we go out for pizza, and then we talk. It's amazing. So I would get like 8 hours of English each day, like 3 classes and then 3 or 4 hours of just moseying my way through town with Ian and some of my former students and colleagues, Great. Now, that brings us to the next question. Yeah, I think this one is, you know what, I think we're done. Thank God we're done talking about whether English is a school subject and whether it's okay. Now let's talk about levels, okay? Let's talk about levels. First of all, I'm going to give you quite an unpopular opinion. As you can well imagine, I'm this out of the mold teacher, yeah, in many respects. Probably because I wrapped my head around what it looks like. I think that when it comes to teaching English, yeah, especially in a private environment, okay, there should be no such thing as levels. I would understand that levels, exist in an environment where you are supposed to teach them for exams, or for example, when you have a certain curriculum to follow, you need to make sure that the progress is made. That works. Or when you're supposed to take an exam. But generally, I do not think that a language can be assessed that easy. Like for example, I study English for 2 or 3 months, and then I'm like what, A2, yeah? Then I'm gonna need another 5 months, and then I'm like B1. Well, come on, right? We're always learning. So I think this is definitely not the case. A lot of people also say, like, again, as I mentioned in the previous streams, like, Stan, but again, if your English is that good, why don't you take exams? Just because I don't really think that they will evaluate or assess or like estimate my level, because, I don't know about you guys, but each day I'm learning something new every time. I have this huge digital notebook, where I write down all of those wordings, chunks, and things all the time. So how's it gonna assess this? If I get my C2, for example, does that mean I'm done? Also, we need to make sure that we understand that those levels are mostly about academic English, right? But how often do we use academic English in our speech is the question, you see? Because if we're saying that the language is a tool, yeah, that we need to have to explore the world, to travel, to be able to read books or watch movies, then it's a different language. And then those exams or whatever cannot assess it correctly and properly. You see, that's the problem. And then there's also this idea with some of us that if we, get over this milestone, and then we get a certificate, we think we're done, and we think that it's forever, right? For example, there are certain exams, as far as I know, maybe I'm wrong, just correct me if I'm wrong, like CAE and CPE, that would say that when you get your C1 or C2, it's forever. But we know one important thing, that if you don't use it, you what? Lose it, right? Try not speaking English for at least a week, or 2 weeks, or 3 weeks. It will all gone, right? Because skills, they disappear very quickly. That's why I don't think that, levels can actually assess our language in a way. Just let me know what you think. If you agree, leave a plus. If you disagree, tell me why. I will gladly, comment on what you have to say. Now, yeah, sure, Tom, you're, both my former student and my colleague these days, because you're not the only one who goes out with us, right? After C2, you can go for IELTS and TOEFL, but isn't IELTS actually about anybody who, I don't know, anybody who can take it before they take CEFR? Because, for example, one of my students, when he passed his YEGA, with flying colors, by the way, I think he got 89, Yegor, I have a video with him, by the way, he's amazing. I think one day to also stream with him. He's a star student. We learned English from scratch. I tried to teach him a lot of stuff, but he was so gritty, by the way. And he took IELTS, and he got, again, if I'm not mistaken, like 7.5 out of 9. And, he never took CE and CP. So you see, it depends, really. You can definitely go for different exams, but again, bear in mind that exams are about academic English, right? Maybe neutral English tops, but aren't we looking out for like some informal English, casual English, right? If we consider it a tool. You see, that's the question. So how are they going to assess my language, I wonder? You see? At the same time, again, think about that. They have certain criteria, And isn't it this one-size-fits-all cookie, yeah? Or is it, say, tool or cookie cutter? So it's quite debatable. We're going to look at questions right now, okay? And we'll see. CPE used to be much more challenging, so today it's no guarantee of godlike English. But again, what is godlike English, right? I mean, it's not about like, showing off or like, throwing CPE vocabulary left, right, and center. Yeah, it's just about communication, right? I think that being truly advanced and proficient means knowing a lot of this stuff, but also knowing how to use it smart. Yeah, not just for the sake of phrases. Now I'm talking to you and I'm not thinking, oh, I need to use that idiom to surprise them so they know that I'm C2. I'm not doing that, because what I'm doing right now is speech production. Yeah, this is where I'm using the language I know. There's no time to think of the phrases because it's spontaneous, it's live. I have to think of a lot of things, right? So this time I have the skill that I'm just recycling, right? So when it comes to classes, for sure, you're learning your CPE words and phrases or advanced English, and you want to impose those phrases upon your speech because you want to make sure that they get practiced. But when you speak, that's where you should let it go. You see? My English friends say that my English is posh. I need some spoken English for certain. Well, I would say that your English is really good, Nadezhda. Really good. Like, very comprehensible. And then I like the way you like, I want to say sound, but I can't hear you. The way you write. But again, there's nothing wrong about being posh. The only problem is that we should also keep register in mind, you see? I mean, since I read from time to time, unfortunately not that much, and watch a lot of Netflix, TV series, and talk, I actually know my CPE vocabulary, even though I've never taken it. I know words like magnanimous, benevolent, moribund, phrases like they want to hear this high time thing, yeah, that is quite bookish and does not exist in informal English, yeah. I do know them, but why would I want to make sure that, I'm even blanking, on what to say about that. I mean, if exams were about informal speech, casual speech, or at least functional language, I'd definitely go for them, okay? Now, Cambridge exam certificates do last forever, but knowledge itself is ever so ephemeral. So even though I've already passed CPE, I feel like my language... Oh yeah, could not agree more. You know what? The more I talk with colleagues, the ones who are in my clientele, and those who are just talked to or stream with, because most of them are decorated, which means they have certificates, yeah? I understand that I have no bone to pick with those who actually practice what they preach, the phrase that I keep saying. I mean, if you really know your way around English and you have taken your CPE, then cool. But, again, as I mentioned before in a stream with Paul Newson, if you're a B2 or B1 and you're aiming for C1, I'm sorry, you're just in over your head. Who are you trying to fool? Okay? Okay, there's a bit of conversation going on here. I like it. Good. Yeah, I mean, I never stop learning things, for sure, for sure. It's all about learning things, we will never stop because we're the aficionados. You see, that's what stands out about us. We don't do this just for the sake of doing this. We do this because we love this. We do this because we want to persevere, just because we know that we will bring more joy even to ourselves and others, and more knowledge and more insight. That's what stands out about us. We're not doing this, and we do not perceive it as a job, you see? For sure. For sure. Oh, thank you so much for your likes. Hello, Daniel, also my former student. How are you? But Daniel was one of my first school students back in 2015. I think he already forgot most of his English because it's been 6 years and then he did a different degree. Now, let's look at the answers. So, first question. The question is, do you think there is no such thing as a C1 word or C2 word? Think about that. It's not about like vocabulary. It's about whether a word can be actually graded and leveled. Levels are all about grammar. Agree? So 2 questions. Okay? When we look things up in a dictionary, we usually have like this entry going on, the definition, yeah, the phonemic symbol of the phrase, which always does not correlate with how a word is pronounced. Then we have examples, right? But we also have a bit of a mark going on with the level. It might say C1, C2, B1, A1. So that is the question. Do you agree that words can be graded and makes perfect sense? For example, we have the word difficult. Yeah, and obviously if you look it up, it will be like A1, A2, right? But then we got a word intricate, which also kind of means difficult, yeah, design-wise, but it will be C2. Does that mean that the word intricate is supposed to be taught when you're C2? What do you make of this? And while you're typing your answers in comments, I'm going to tell you what I think of it. I think that it's not the case, you know? Maybe because, again, I'm not an exam-oriented teacher. That could be the case too. But I believe that, first of all, we need to make sure that we understand that native speakers have no freaking idea that level exists. Well, except for the ones who teach language, yeah? As a foreign or second language, or an additional language, as you remember from a conversation I had with Alexander from London, right? So that's important to mention first. Yeah, it's BS, right, Anna? Give me just a moment, because I need to make sure that everything is all right here. You see, so that's the point first. And then sometimes some phrases we teach them, you know, in our classes, especially elementary classes, they do contain words and phrases that could be considered C1 and C2. So what I think is those attachments to words, yeah, like grades, levels, and whatever, they are important, again, for those who are aiming to take an exam. Because with some exams, you have word lists, yeah, some of the word lists that probably would help you understand what they require from you, right? And in that case, it makes sense, right? But does teaching a C2 word at A2 or B1 okay or not is the question. Now, disagree. I came across super low frequency words in Spotlight for Schools, words that I don't know, I don't need to know, but kids have to learn them anyway. It is insane. You know what, Cherry Savvy? You're such a cherry because you're speaking the truth. First of all, that just brought back memories about a book that I had to also use in class, because I told you that, yeah, of course, I used a lot of my material, but still I had a bit of a, like, you know, beacon to follow because it's still a state school, right? And everybody knows this book. I will not mention the name. Let's guess if you want. And in that book, they had topics that were really hard even for me at that time. I think this is where I learned what an oil rig is, and it was a year 5 textbook. What a shutter is, you know? What else? Anything related to oil, okay? Oil exploration. And this is something they were supposed to learn when they're year 5 students. Like, just get this. Fresh out of primary school, they're supposed to talk about some sort of stories and discoveries that characters embark on. I mean, those journeys, yeah? When they, like, you know, mosey their way through oil rigs and everything, yeah? So, any ideas what book I'm talking about? So, yeah, for sure. Sometimes it's the case. It's the case, right? Now, make people to learn. Maybe I missed the part of the message. It's business. Make people to learn smart-ass words to have a paper. Make people learn. Okay. Well, yeah, again, it depends, Artyom. You know, when we talk about purposes, specific purposes, when a teacher needs that, okay, then why not? But it should not be a one-size-fits-all tool, you know? It's not like the beacon of assessing your knowledge. It could be a beacon of assessing your knowledge in a particular area, for sure, okay? In a particular register, right? Which is academic English. Russia be like, oil rig in year 5. Right. So I'm still waiting for the time when I can use this word. You see, finally I used it with you. Yay to me. Now, Today, I was going through the tasks of VPR year 7, and there was vibrant music scene, which I came across in Outcomes Advanced. Yeah, Vlad, and what do you make of it? What do you make of it? I mean, vibrant is a good word to know, actually. Yeah, when we talk about, like, city life, for example, yeah? Like the vibrant life of Moscow. Moscow never sleeps because it's vibrant, yeah? But, again, what do you make of it? Share your thoughts. No, it's not spotlight, it's forward. Yeah, forward. Exactly. You see? So it depends. It depends. You see, I mean, talk about levels, right? Let's listen to some other comments while you're typing yours. By the way, first of all, I emphasized the question many times because some of you didn't get it. You thought that it was about like what kind of vocab we're supposed to be learning, you know? Not about attaching grades to vocab, yeah, and levels. Yeah, no, Anna, the book is not Spotlight, it's Forward. It's called Forward. As for vocab, I think you should differentiate the meanings of words. For example, for elapse and pass. For example, elapse and pass. Okay, now I get it. For sure, for sure. We're going to also be talking about that because one of the upcoming streams this month is about the lexical approach, chunks, like how to detect them, how to analyze them, how do we go about it. And there's going to be an extremely interesting person who will help us glean a lot of insights. You might know her because she's getting big, you know? And we're going to talk about the lexical approach generally and how we came to realize that it's like, it makes perfect sense, yeah? And that it could be part of the eclecticism approach that I follow, for example. Now, yep, got it. Yeah, sure. So, some of you said, C1, C2 is about enriching your vocabulary for different purposes, not only everyday life communication. Yeah, but the question is different. Oil rig won't scare you after cancer in year 4 essential vocab. You mean cancer as in disease or the zodiac sign? Okay, let me know. Because you never know. Maybe it's a good thing to know, you know, such words in year 4. I don't know. Then, the difference in accuracy, in ability to quickly choose the most suitable grammar or lexical form. That is the answer to, do you think that there's no such thing as C1 word or C2 word? Levels are about grammar. You see, yeah, I think that it's about definitely accuracy, yeah? And fluency, but not just about grammar or about like attaching grades to words. By the way, I wonder, what is your understanding of fluency? What is fluency for you? Write words. You don't have to write sentences. I know it takes time. Yeah, and it's hard to listen and write. Like, to you, fluency is, okay? And then words, and we'll discuss. Because accuracy is clear, yeah? You have to know what you're saying, and you have to mind the appropriacy. Okay, so Vlad says it was about a disease. Wow, yeah. This is some of the topics that are not supposed to be talked about, I think, yeah. Especially since it's pretty common, right? All right. Speaking of exams are also about mastering skills, which is crucial for a foreign language acquisition. Yeah, but again, I didn't take exams and it was not crucial for my acquisition, as you can see. Again, it just depends. If you are learning or teaching in a private school or state school and exams are like the pivotal thing, yeah, and they help to track progress, I agree with you then, Lena. But if it's about you, if it's about private teaching, or if it's not about school or adult exams, are a good thing to do, again, if you have this kind of, if you cut out for it, yeah, mindset wise, and also probably if you lack perseverance and grit, okay? Fluency means to keep conversations, Arton. What did you mean by that? Cherry Savvy says, what do you think about phrasal verbs? They are the core of any conversation, but they're taught in depth at higher levels, which is kind of weird. Well, I think highly of phrasal verbs. I respect phrasal verbs. You know what? I think that when you teach phrasal verbs, you can't go wrong with teaching phrasal verbs. When you teach idioms, this is really dark waters you're treading, because you have to be super aware of what you're doing and how to use them. You have to have a really good grasp of the language as a teacher. You have to have a lot of exposure. You have to have the willingness to explore each and every idiom. Yeah. You have to have your virtual idiom dictionary in your mind, in your head. So it's definitely a difficult thing to do. Maybe that's why most of us are afraid of using idioms, and we kind of resort to using some kind of, simplistic English, if you will. But as for phrasal verbs, you can definitely not, go wrong with teaching them. But yeah, the only problem is that for some reason they're taught at high levels. But as you can well imagine, if you watch a movie or go to an English speaking country, what you hear a lot, phraseology wise, is also phrasal verbs. Okay, so it's a good idea to teach them. But why they're taught at that level, I do not know. I do not differentiate, I mean, to me, phrasal verbs are like idioms or collocations. If need be, I teach them, okay? Because again, I use the lexical approach, the chunk-based language approach. I never give a word. I give at least some sort of a collocation or chunk or phrase, or cliche. So, and then we start breaking it down and work with each and every in context, you see? And then students start to realize that vocabulary, that a chunk is vocabulary with grammar embedded, yeah? And that you have to understand that each vocabulary unit is friends with some sort of grammar point, you see? So, you have to be standing to teach to teach idiom. By the way, it's interesting. Did you know that the name stand is also a verb or a noun? It's an English word. It became popularized because of this song by Eminem, Stan. It was his diehard fan. And now if you're a stan of someone, it's slang, for sure, slang, mind the register. It means that you're a diehard fan of theirs. Okay, you love them a lot. So you can stand something or be a stan of something or someone. So what that means, you have to be a stan of idioms to teach them. Fluency is when you can make jokes and coin new words which natives will get and laugh. Yeah, that makes sense too, but not only that. I mean, definitely that would be amazing if you could play with words and take artistic liberty using words and phrases, yeah? Which is all about puns. But fluency is also about making sure that you have your accuracy in action, yeah, in place. And you're not using phrases for the sake of phrases, yeah? You're trying to get the message across, you see? And it's not about, by the way, being like that and talking like that all the time, because I can do that, you see? I can do that, but it's not about that. So fluency is not about pace. Fluency is about making sure you're getting the message across using the correct proper language that everyone understands, but not wrapping your way around, And it also depends on the psyche, because I know colleagues who speak perfect English, but they're slow, and there's nothing wrong about that. It just takes time for them to say something, yeah, because this is how their brain works. And there are those people like me who can be this blah blah people, blabbing all the time. But it does mean that they speak good English at the same time, because they can make a myriad of mistakes, yeah, and at the same time speak fast. And for those who don't know, yeah, for those who don't speak English or don't know their way around English, they might be thinking, oh wow, he's speaking so fast, so he's that good. But that could not be the case sometimes, you see? Then also Lena says, and also please keep sending some of the ideas, right? Lena says, being able to convey meaning is one of the tenets of fluency. Yeah, I like this word, tenet. You can practice a tenet. You're supposed to practice a tenet. That's a good phrase to use. Conveying meaning, for sure, for sure. That's why, again, as I mentioned in the first part of our streaming, that when you're learning a language, it's okay to stuff your speech with phraseology, trying to make sure that the active vocab is used. But this is the training stage. When you go live, like I am right now, when you're talking to someone else, and when you're out and about, you have no time to put your phrases together. Yeah, you have to get it across, and the other stuff is just taking care of itself, right? And if you are not trained enough, if you don't have the skill, then you speak the English that people might understand or might not understand, right? All right. Hello, Marina. I'm really happy to see you. Let me check whether you're here. All right. So, guys, again, if you agree with me, just leave a plus. I mean, if you agree with my take on fluency. Now, and we have the last question, guys. The last question, I'll let you go because it's been already a lot. But I can talk for hours, you know that. But it's just, they're too lengthy, my live streams. I know this. It's my vice, Now, the last question is quite interesting and intricate at the same time, You have to really rack your brains to understand it. So the question is it useless to have each aspect of speech at the same level? Which aspect is the most important? We're probably talking about speaking, writing, reading, listening, and some other skills that you're supposed to have to make sure that you have everything in place. So I think I need to tweak the question a little bit because it will make more sense maybe to kind of discuss it, Do you, first of all, by the way, Artem, thank you for helping me with this one. First of all, of course, it's all about the system. It should be systematic, and it's part of, yes, it's something that can't be, separated. It can't be separated, for sure. Because, speaking, listening, writing, reading, or whatever, it's just part of what makes you a speaker of English in this case. So, that's for sure. But this question is much more intricate than that, than you might think. Yes, Vlad, you're reading my mind, guys. You're taking words out of my mouth. Vlad then says, in an ideal world is the operative word. They have to be in a balance. Exactly. The point is, and that's another bone to pick with exams. I hope I don't get stoned for that, one day. Is that this is what we're talking about ideally, that we speak like, C2 grammar, C2 listening, C2 speaking, C2 writing or whatever. But it doesn't look like that. It doesn't work like that. Because anyways, we are better at something and we can be worse at something, That's the problem. And that's at the same time perfectly fine. Because especially these days when we kind of realize that every teacher, especially an online teacher or private teacher, we're supposed to find our niche, something we're really good at. We focus a lot on that niche. For example, someone is a very good speaking practice teacher, someone is a good grammar teacher, like at uni, someone is a good writing teacher. Of course, since we channel all the energy and knowledge into that, of course it means that we are better at that than probably writing, speaking, or listening, right? So same with exams, even though it does differentiate between like listening, speaking, you get your points for each and every one of them. You still have an overall one. And sometimes if you analyze those certificates that you all post on the internet, you can see that someone's writing can be like less than 200, like maybe even 175. But someone's listening can be 205 and speaking like 200, and they still get C2. You see? Which is also quite debatable. Because if it's a system, if it's balanced, why is it C2 then? And again, it's a double-edged sword because at the same time, we can't have the same level at each and every skill that we're supposed to practice. Because it's like, I don't know, It's impossible, right? You have to always make sure that you pay attention to this and that one. And again, are we that C2 in Russian writing? See? Now, Yana says, fluency implies effective self-expression in expression in as fine detail as possible. So fluency implies effective self-expression in as fine detail as possible. Exactly. Fluency is knowing your idioms, knowing your phrasal verbs, knowing all the intricacies of grammar, but using them when need be, or if need be. Yeah. Again, not to make sure that you use all of your idioms so someone gets blown away by it. You know, because again. By the way, I was asked this question. It's very interesting and important, I think, to answer to. I was thinking whether to answer it or not. Give me just a moment. One of my colleagues asked, before I do this, writing might be challenging even in Russian. Exactly. So I made my peace with the fact that my writing sucks. Right. I mean, how often do you write essays? Even in Russian, right? So... Exactly. Then Artyom said, my translation and spelling suck ass. Yeah, right. I mean, writing. Okay, yeah. Listen, one of the question was, how much time does it take you to define what level a student has? A question was directed to me. I'm also asking you guys because it's really interesting to know that. In a case with me, I usually can see that right away because the moment you open your mouth and you start speaking, I can see your grammar, I can see the balance of vocabulary, I can see whether you're trying to just impress, dress to impress, as they say, or you're just using language for the sake of communication. You see, so for me, it's not difficult. And usually when I take on new students in my clientele as students, new colleagues, what I do is I usually ask them to record like this 5-10 minutes audio according to some sort of a cliche simple plan, where I ask them to make this on the spot, to record this on the spot audio where they talk about their life generally. And you can tell, what the language is the moment they open their mouth. All right, because you can see the grammar and vocab and the pronunciation part in place, right? Obviously, it takes a skill, but you don't need an exam to check it, right? So it's one of the resources. And then someone asked, what are the resources to use to be able to assess one's own level of English besides the exams? One of them, the one that I used to do was, for example, if it was an A1 student at that time, if we still talk levels, right? What I would do, I would sit down with them and I would make sure that they have an ear for languages because it's important. Yeah? We all know that pronunciation matters, at least neutralizing your accent if you're a teacher of English, right? And it also matters because if you can't hear sounds, you can't differentiate between sounds, and then you can't understand properly, especially this authentic speech, right? So what I do is I sit down with them and I ask them to repeat first words after me, then word combinations, then sentences without even understanding, so I can see whether they can catch it. And sometimes if I saw that it wasn't challenging enough, I would just open, a random video, play a phrase, like Yuglish, because Yuglish has been around for like 7 years already, okay? And I would have them repeat it. Again, you would say, why? They don't understand. They don't have to understand. I was trying to find out whether they can catch and reproduce sounds they hear, so I could understand what to work with and whether they would make better progress. For me, that was an important thing to do, okay? Yana says, strange that Cambridge awards people C1 if they do FC and get grade A. Well, I don't know. I can't comment on this one because, again, I don't know exactly all the intricacies of those exams, but it's just quite debatable to award C2 when, for example, your listening is 185, and your, speaking is 190, but the other ones are, more than 200, and then you still get C2, you see? It's kind of the low borderline between B2 and C1. I get it. Okay. So, and I think the last question for today would be how to step over B1 level, yeah, which is intermediate. If you feel you're stuck, this is like an age-old question, yeah? Like, how do we do this? How do we like grow and learn? It's so difficult. Well, know that when we begin, it's all about progress because we learn things. It's everything is new. Words are easy. Grammar is easy. The teacher is there. The guidance is there, right? But as we progress, we like step into this vast land. We're like, what do I do? Yeah, like where do I start? Yeah, here you have to fight fire with fire, as we say, klin klin vyshibayet, you know? I mean, there's no magic bullet at all. No one will ever feed you this panacea and say, you know what, I know the secret. There's no secret. The only secret is to persevere, continue learning, step by step, knowing that you will never be perfect, that perfection is a construct, yeah, выдуманное понятие. And just be a better version of yourself. And also, you know, look at people and see the ones that you either aspire to be, yeah, or that inspire you, and think, if she or he did that, I can do it. Because after all, we're all humans, right? Well, anyways, I think I'm going to be finishing in a minute or so. If you still have questions, please let me know because I'm still here. But I like to think that this cliche discussion was not too cliche because we got a diversity of opinions, even though the time was not exactly appropriate for all of you, yeah, for most of you. And then I think that it's beautiful that we get to talk about such important things because, again, I mean, people rarely talk about it, right? Because it's some kind of a no sometimes, yeah, but we all have this deep inside, and I think it's important to share opinions, to look for answers, to try to explore some sort of alternatives to help us learn and grow. Yana says the magic bullet is not to quit. Yes, exactly. Think about that. If it were so easy, we would know so many more languages by now, right? Just stop dwelling on making progress. Just enjoy the language, use it, and binge watch your favorite series. It's like my words, Cherry Savvy. Cherry Savvy, kudos to you today, and to most of you and all of you watching the recording as well, because I think this is what helped me persevere through more than what? 2 hours in total. Can you believe that? Gosh, my vice. Sometimes you have to improve your way of thinking before working on the language. I also believe that it's important to raise awareness. Like in the very first classes, you have to explain that whatever you hear, those recipes that you can learn English in 16 hours don't work. It's just what you want to hear. Okay, you want to hear it, you want to go for it, but you'll still end up with me. You see, that's the problem. Levels are also about the problems that interest us. Right. Well, again, I hope it was quite fruitful. And I really encourage you to leave comments because I'm going to share this part of the live stream right now. It's on my profile. Please leave comments, leave ideas. It's important both to me and for Insta algorithms, because if people don't leave comments and likes, the videos do not get shown to other people. You know, this is how it works for some reason. Maybe they encourage us to participate this way, yeah, and to promote Instagram. So for me, it's very important that you share, you know, your ideas, thoughts, you like, you post, repost, you share things you agree and disagree with, because again, I will tell you it again, whatever I have said here today is just my 2 freaking cents. Okay, it does not mean that I'm telling you the gospel truth. The gospel truth is your own world. Okay, follow your gut. Do listen to opinions, but again, listen to your heart, as Rick said once saying, right? All right, thank you for also sending me your thanks. Appreciate your lives. Thanks a lot, sure man. Thank you for input and time, Stan. Thank you so much for being with me, because again, it's not the best time, I know, but I always you know, fly by the seat of my pants. I'm all for spontaneity, so you might see me sometime soon, but I think it will be Monday for sure. So tune in Monday, 1 Moscow time, okay, 1 p.m, and we'll talk about creating teaching and teaching outside the Yeah, exactly. The gospel truth is in the gospel, for sure. You see? For sure. Great. All right. And this positive, beautiful, thought provoking note, we will call it today for today. I'll see you in the next stream, and thank you so much. Hopefully, I fed you some food for thought. All right? Bye bye.